Hello and welcome to Racers Now for the Thursday night betting show with SD, and we are looking forward to Grand National Day at Aintree on Saturday. We've already covered 42 runners on Monday night. Every single runner covered here on Racers Now. 34 are in. We're going to touch on who they are in a moment. SD, how are you?
I'm fine. I would just say the forecast has changed slightly for Saturday in that, the course are saying 1 to 2 mil. I got near a 5 to 7 mil. They've irrigated tonight.
We've irrigated plenty.
They put 5 millimeters on. Now, I would question that.
Well, they've been watering a lot all week, have they not?
Well, I mean, look, they're doing that just to replace moisture. But you've got to be mindful of the forecast, and the forecast has changed for the worse. If you're heading to Aintree on Saturday morning, take a Mac or an umbrella, or if you're a lady, maybe you could wear a poncho.
There's a couple wearing poncho today. It was cold there today, SD. But yeah, it was strange because the sun was shining 1 minute. We had great weather yesterday, didn't we? Then it goes cold. We had basically 3 seasons in one day. John was in good form.
Friend of the channel with his cap.
Yes, with his cap. Right, SD, we're going to start with the National straight away. Like I said, we've covered all runners earlier in the week. The news are from declarations, or today, if you like, is that Nick Rocket, last year's winner, is not running. Something to do with a cough. So that one, last year's winner, has been replaced by the reserve Imperial Saint. And Spillans Tower ran today and, as expected, has come out. So that one has been replaced by Am I Right? Pied Piper was the first reserve, but he has been also ruled out as well. So even though he was a reserve, he won't be taking his reserve spot. So it's Imperial Saint and Am I Right that come in. All the fancy place terms are now available. Your position earlier in the week, SD, was Stella Story at 25 to 1, Captain Cody at 20. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I touched on a couple earlier in the week, SD. I think I'm gonna put them up as well. I touched on Banbridge. Look, there's a big chance he might not stay, but that's the chances you take in, and you're getting quite well compensated with the price because he's 50 to 1. So I'm putting up Banbridge, sexy each way places, 60 to 1, classy as you like. A varied forecast. As SD has said, he wants it the drier the better. So he would like the lower side of that possible rain forecast. And he's 50 to 1. So I'm putting him up. And then I also touched on earlier in the week this Imperial Saint that may or may not have got in. Well, he is in now. I made a case for him Monday. Unfortunately, it was twice the price then, but maybe because we've got the 6 places each way now and stuff like that. But good form in good quality races for quite a while now. Imperial Saint has been there or thereabouts. Loves Aintree over the standard obstacles. This is obviously it's very different. Won the Peter Marsh where Johnny Who was way behind that day. And I thought if you watch it back, you can put a complete line through his run in the Ultimate where he was very, very badly hampered. Again, he's 50 to 1. Them two will do for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Right, okay. Where are we going earlier in the card, SD? We're going to the 12:45, an early start.
It is an early start, isn't it? Bloody hell. I'll be Chepstow on Saturday.
Yes, well, you're going to be friend of At the Racers or Sky Sports Racing, and then you're going off to Chepstow. Yeah, 12:45 early start at Aintree on Saturday, Grade 1, Novices Chase. Salvatore Monday won a Novices hurdle at the Aintree Festival last year. We've not seen a whole lot of him, and he's now short price favourite to win a Novices Chase at Aintree a year later.
Yeah, look, you can see the case, can't you? I mean, he was the best of these over hurdles by some margin. Was I especially keen to take him on? No, but we've got the dead 8 runners. No more than one occasion. Look, it might just be a complete non-jigger, but on more than one occasion this year, Mirabad has caught my eye. I thought he ran well at Kempton earlier in the year. His time against Steel Ally was particularly good at Warwick. He won't mind any rain that falls. he might be better right-handed, etc., etc. But I didn't think he had that much to find here. Regardless of what official rating says, the question is Salvatore Monday going to be anywhere? I mean, he was behind Capiche Pike, wasn't he, on the first run, which doesn't look so bad now. But he was dreadful over Christmas at Leopardstown, and then he's won at 7 on since. And he didn't go to Cheltenham. Maybe this was the plan because, of course, he won at Aintree last year. I just thought backing something like Mirabad each way, just a small stake, was probably the way to go. I wasn't big on horses like Mighty Bandit. The other thing I would say, the outcome of this race largely rests on how it is run. And I'll explain. Be Aware has gone off like a scalded cat before now. Anna Lamb has front run. King of Kingsfield races prominently. Mighty Bandit made all the last twice at Doncaster. Mirabad has led before. They might just take no questions asked off his feet. And of course, Salvatore Monday has led before. So that makes the race a bit of a tricky betting medium. And I'd rather chuck a few quid at something each way than, Salvatore Monday gets spoiled early and we don't really know. Let's face it.
Massive price, absolutely massive price. The next race then is a very different to a novices chase. This is a handicap hurdle with 22 runners SD over 3 miles at 120. This looks like a double dip race to me. Supremely West, the gamble of the festival from the Skelton Yard. Not for the first time. He's in there at 9-2 market leader at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not totally convinced. I think Supremely West last time, let's face it, he was laid out for Cheltenham, but he's got £9 more on his back. And those who were in behind him were, exposed to an extent. I'm talking about reopposing rivals as well here. Ikarak, you could say, is pretty exposed. Iden, pretty exposed. And that just led me to something or some things which are less exposed. So that would be a horse like Kakas Cousin. Now, Kakas Cousin, the face of it, fourth behind Get On George last time in the EBF final at Sandown. But if you look how the race was run last time, he fared much the best of those who were up with the pace. And it was just one of those races where they probably went too quick. He was strong in the betting that day, and he acquitted himself with quite a bit of credit. And I think there's an upside to his handicap mark where a lot of these are fairly exposed.
Did you prefer Kaká at AC Milan or Real Madrid, SD?
But just move on. I mean, that's just rubbish.
Do you know what this I would say about Supremely West? It reminds me a little bit of the 2024 Langadan because he won whatever it was, where he was gambled at Cheltenham and people were moaning that he was 14th and 9th and pulled up in his starts ahead of the 2024 Coral Cup. Then on his next start at Aintree, nearly won the Grade 1 Aintree hurdle by a short neck. So, maybe
short neck. We're not in France, sir.
So that's what it is listed as on Racing Post.
Well, I can guarantee the return winning distance won't have been a short neck. Look, there's obvious parallels, isn't there? But I'm not convinced that race was that good at Cheltenham. That's the long and short of it. Yeah. And you know what? With that in mind, I thought Fortune Tommy, who ran well in the Pothole Derby, as you call it.
Yes, that's original of mine.
Very good. That ran very well in the Pothole Derby. In the dark, Pothole Derby with miners' lamps on. I thought he ran. He was ultimately outclassed at Cheltenham. He wasn't actually beaten that far, and I think his mark of 132 is more than fair. And again, there's this upside about an unexposed horse. I have a feeling a lot of these in here don't have a lot of secrets. These two might just have some.
2 for SD in the 120. There's none for SD in the 155, but we'll mention it while we're there. The Mersey Novices Hurdle. That's a grade 1 over 2.5.
Oh yes, there is. There is. Sorry, when I did my selections, it's the first alphabetically.
It's the first alphabetically. What does that mean?
Well, I'm trying to not give it away. You know, we like an element of suspense on races.
Right, okay, I've got it right. Right, go on then. So why does the first alphabetically win the 155?
The first alphabetically wins the 155. I mean, this is quite phenomenal. This is a grade 1 novice hurdle, right?
Yep.
And for the last 4 years, obviously with it being a novice hurdle, they're different horses. The same yards won it. Takes some bloody doing. And that alone attracted me to Ballyfad. But, you know, Cheltenham was a bit of a write-off because he was kicked before the start. And if you were kicked, you know, if you were kicked before you ran a race,
well, it might help you.
Well, it might help me, yes. I don't think what my point being is, I don't think you'd run as quick as if you as if
were not kicked.
You were not kicked. I mean, I think this is fairly common sense. And to be fair to him, he runs like a horse who'll improve a little bit for going up in trip. He had King Rasco Grey behind him at Leopardstown in the at the DRF, and I preferred him to say, you know, not Soldier Reeves, but Soldier Reeves is in here to the other skeleton horse, Bossman Jack, who bundled the last. You know, he wasn't beaten that far at Cheltenham. He was beaten just over 7 lengths, and if you don't get a kick in before the start, and with Gordon's good record in the race, I prefer him.
Yeah, I liked Ballyfad because I was all over Talk the Talk for the festival, and he was second behind him.
Oh, well.
That did not go well, SD, but what I am getting to, he was closely behind Talk the Talk, didn't work out. He was closely in front of King Rasco Grey, that did work out. King Rasco Grey winning that race, whatever it's called nowadays, Turners, that Ballyfad was kicked before the start of the race. Right, okay. 2:30 then, SD, handicap chase. Again, plenty of runners in here. It could be it looks like an SD double dip race, usually, but it's not.
Well, it's not. Look, you know, trainers are. We've just alluded to Gordon's good record in the previous race.
Yeah.
And Dan has won this before, and it looks to me, I'll be careful how I phrase it, but it looks to me Mr. Hope Street has been laid out for this contest. He looks, certainly on that Haydock effort, a very, very well handicapped individual. And we know, I don't think I'm telling viewers anything they don't know. However I phrase it, that when Dan has a plan, and it can be very well executed, regardless of how they've might have run on their last outing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is Mr. Hope Street ran in that graduation race at Haydock.
Rocco and Jukebox Man.
Well, just behind a subsequent King George winner and Iroko. Obviously, you know, Napper's Hill was behind it, but you know, he was getting £11 off the Jukebox Man. The Jukebox, I mean, I wouldn't take it too literally, but the Jukebox Man's rated 168. He was getting £8 off Iroko, who's off 156. He was six lengths behind them when, you know, he took a grip and things like that, and he was just in front of Napper's Hill, who may be the basis of the mark somewhat. I mean, the fact Mr. Hope Street is getting in here off 130.
It does seem a bit low to me, that.
I suspect after Haydock, they said, right, lads, let's have a go. I remember I was at Carlisle when he made his chase debut in what has turned out to be a very good race. Granges was second in that. The jukebox kid won the race. There's so many jukeboxes, honestly. I've been at a concert. And Mr. Hope Street was let's just say he was very, very weak in the betting. I think this has been the plan, and I think it'll win.
I think that you make a very fair argument there, SD. Remember the Marwan Kukash horses back in the day? Gabriel this, Gabriel that. Similar to the...
Well, these jukeboxes, I mean, it's not
There's a few of them.
Have you seen the price of all these jukeboxes now? They've gone digital. I mean, I love clearing a pub out with a jukebox because, as you know, I can't stand music. So if you put Rolf Harris on, it clears the pub out. I can't stand busy places. So there's your hint how to clear a pub out. Put Rolf Harris on the jukebox. I wish you'd see the landlord's face. You've got to do it very surreptitiously, though.
Right, the race before the National is the Grade 1 Liverpool Hurdle.
You're right, lad.
A little bit of a rematch of for some of these, quite a few of the Stayers Hurdle at Cheltenham, and there's a couple like Irving Tight Woman now trying to step out of Handicap Company, winner of the Martin Pipe, into this Grade 1. Now, SD, I didn't plan to mention this horse, to be fair, but when I've just scrolled down the prices, why is Home by the Lee 7-1?
Well, he's run very disappointingly at this meeting in the last 2 years after Cheltenham, where he's run better. He was, and I think that in itself is the problem. He was pulled up last year, and he was pulled up the year before.
Yeah.
So the point being that history seems to show us that he's, you could say it was a PB last time, or very near a PB. I'm not. He probably was, in all fairness, but his record at Aintree, to quote Mr. Hutchinson, is desperate.
Yes, Mr. Hutchinson agreed with me actually with his chances for the festival. Anyway, what are you tipping? Come
on. I think the aid of a tongue strap for honesty policy is a notable plus. I thought at the festival maybe he didn't quite get up the hill, not to the same extent as Cabral du Matin, but
I agree with that.
I think Aintree will suit this horse. Well, we know Aintree suits the horse, don't we? And I think the addition of the tongue strap might just be the conduit to him lasting the trip. He missed the festival last year. He won here, and I just think that, to a large extent, for a horse who's only had 7 hurdle starts, he's by far the most likely winner here. So I'm sorry to tip 2 favourites on National Day, but I just did.
SD, I'm struggling to disagree with either of the favourites you put up, to be fair, and I do try to. We've got the 1-2 from last year. Strong Leader was second, and Hidden Valley Lake was first last year.
Bit of a hard horse to assess, Hidden Valley Lake.
Yeah, there's a few that for Henry that don't run all that often. First start of the year in Ireland, sometimes is a somewhat of a practice, let's say. He's got a few like that.
No, I know, but he's shown very, very little this season, and he's not exactly a blockbuster price, is he?
No, you wouldn't say so. He's around 6-1 at the moment. You're on Honesty Policy at 3-1.
I'd rather back Honesty Policy at half his price. I'm not saying he can't win. I'm just saying that the lemon has been squeezed somewhat.
Yeah. All the bets will be in the description as usual. SD's daily tips on Friday will be out.
Yes.
The final day of our jump season this Saturday. So SD's showing a massive profit. There's his profit on the daily tips. Twitter every morning at around 8:15, and the YouTube tips since all the way back from, I think it was October the 19th, SD, the day after Champions Day, to Grand National
Still
Day.
at 10% ROI. I mean, it doesn't look good, but we stake less. Would just say, obviously, friend of the channel will be there with his hat on. Tim Brown's there, Paul Garrett's there, Nick Walsh is there, BK Race is there. Just make sure you do shop around. I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier on the Betfair SP so the Betfair SP of the last winner.
Yep.
Was over 9-1 at Aintree today.
Yeah.
Have a guess. Do you know what the starting price was?
I should know really, but I'd already left by then. So the Betfair SP was over 9-1. Starting price 6, 13 to
9-2.
9-2. Wow. Yeah.
I am reliably informed it was considerably bigger than that on the course. So do go and see the lads. Any Southwest extraordinaires? I'll be at Chepstow Saturday. I have to trundle then home to pick the cameraman up and do a Mike Parsay. And then I'll go back down the M5. Never really go down the M5, but to Wincanton on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, SD, there's some out there that say you don't go to the South or Southwest, particularly very often to.
Well, there's generally no value in the ring. No value in the ring. So I'm sure some Southwest bookies watch this, though, prove me wrong.
Yeah, good. Well,
have it, as they say. Or
will Big Jim be there? Or is he?
No, Big Jim lives in Essex. It's a long way from Essex.
Sorry, that's the
Wincanton's a long way from anywhere. So we're all braced for a lovely day of merriment on Sunday.
Okay, great. We'll be back later as usual. All the bets
later. Well, you'll not see me later.
He will be back in the morning as usual, giving his daily tips. Thanks for tuning in, and
do
check out if you want a comment on every single runner in the Grand National. We have that covered here on Racers Now. Cheerio!
Boom, boom.